Indigenous Voices. Voices from the past, present, and future. Join us this and every Friday at 7 p.m. on DBS Radio as we explore the culture, spirituality, socio-economic development, politics, and much more of the Kalinago and other indigenous peoples. Let's explore history from a new and dynamic perspective on DBS Radio. We are
Kalinago. We are indomitable.
So good evening to the listening audience. Good evening to all of you who are at home in your cars, listening to whatever. We are happy that you are joining us this evening. We are happy to be coming into your space, and hopefully we'll have a conversation that you will enjoy and that you will participate in. We are expecting to have a couple callers this evening. I am also, of course, joined here this evening by the brain behind this program, my brother and friend Shibutu. And so we have had a very interesting 2 weeks. We were supposed to be on last week, Friday, but the radio station had some more pressing matters that they had to deal with. So we are back today, and we are really delighted to be back. And we're looking forward to a really progressive conversation this evening. So first of all, let me just introduce my friend, my brother, the mastermind behind this program, the minister himself, Shibutu Kozia Frederick.
Nichiabu, good night. Good night to you, my brother, my friend, my comrade. And good night to the listeners of DBS Radio, and more especially listeners from the Kalinago space, the wonderful people of the Kalinago territory, and also, very importantly, to the people out of Atkinson and Drizzle. Happy to be here tonight and to share bits and pieces of information that will be helpful, I think, to help us better understand the drive we're on to ensure that the Kalinago become and remains part of the narrative as we speak to developing our country, Waitikuli. So I'm happy tonight, and also all the listeners out of that Kalinago space, and listeners who are very sensitive to the Kalinago issues at hand.
Let's talk a little bit about what you have been working at over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Nishi, thank you so much. During the course of this week in particular, I worked. We've been working feverishly with the UNDP, and the UNDP has been a positive partner with the government in moving some of our goals and our objectives forward. I also want to remind the listening public that last year at the independence celebrations, the government of Dominica awarded the UNDP one of our highest awards, and so within the Kalinago space, we are feeling some of that the work that the UNDP has been doing, and also the Kalinago territory now has this program that is part and parcel of a program that spreads across 9 countries in the Caribbean. It's called the Engender program, and it is a program that hopes to bring to light some of the issues that communities face as they go through the development, and especially as it relates to climate change. So for the past week, I've been engaged in a number of consultations, Nichi. The idea of these consultations, and I'm hoping that we will have some time this evening to hear the voice from the UNDP themselves, because they have been an active partner.
We actually have a call. Let's see who is on the line. Good evening. You're live with us. Good evening. Can you hear us? I don't know. Good evening. Can you hear us? Okay, so I think that call dropped. I'm not sure.
Yes. So yes, Nietzsche, as I was saying, the project I speak to for in the week there it's called Enabling Gender Responsive Disaster Recovery, Climate and Environmental Resilience in the Caribbean, and in our case, it's in the Kalinago territory. So we have consultation because it appears that through the history of the Kalinago territory.
Okay, let's try that again. Let's try it again, Mr. Minister. Sorry to interrupt.
No worries, no worries.
Good evening and welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. We hear you loud and clear. Can you hear us?
Thank you very much.
Very well. So I recognize this very distinguished voice. It sounds like a UNDP voice.
Yes, correct.
Well, the minister was just talking a little bit about the work that the UNDP has been doing in Dominica on a whole, but more specifically in the Kalinago territory. And he did just mention that we would be having a caller from the UNDP to call in and to discuss some of the work that the organization has been doing. So tonight we have live on the line Francisco. It's Francisco, right? Luis Francisco Thais. All right. So Luis, welcome, and thank you so much for calling in and joining the conversation. I know the minister wants to sort of speak directly with you and to sort of probe on some of the things that you guys have been working on together. So let the minister welcome you.
Faiz, it's welcome to Indigenous Voices. I'm excited that you're here online and that you can kind of walk or listen to public through the Engender project and to tell the public that this is one of many projects that the UNDP have been assisting the government of Dominica with, and in particular the ministry that I am so happy to and humbled to serve. So I want to say that and before we continue that you have a wonderful team on the ground with Max and the consultant Yasmin, who have been doing the work within the Kalinago space. I just want to tell you that they've been very diligent, and to say that the work that continues to happen within that space will surely empower the Kalinago community and empower, and especially me as a minister to ensure that the program designed for the Kalinago people is primarily informed by the people themselves. So I just want to say that I'm Francisco, and so you could tell the listening public of the work you've been doing in the Kalinago space, and sort of the update on all of the happenings as it regards to the Engender project.
Yes, thank you very much, Minister. Yes, thank you very much, Minister. Before I begin, I would like to publicly acknowledge that the UNDP wouldn't be able to work unless there was such a strong leadership by government. So we thank you very much for allowing us to work with you. No, basically, I'd like to extend a good evening to the people of Dominica. A special acknowledgement to Minister Cozier Frederick, the Kalinago Chief, the Kalinago Council, and of course the Kalinago community, with whom we are working closely to implement the project I'll be speaking about. Well, regrettably, I cannot be in the studio with you tonight, Mr. Hill. I would like to extend my heartfelt appreciation to you for the invitation to join Kalinago Voices and share the important work UNDP is supporting in the Kalinago territory under the leadership of the government of Dominica. This support is made possible thanks to the governments of Canada and the UK. The offer of complementary funding initiative is provided through the Engender project, and it supports the government of Dominica with developing the assessments required when applying for climate financing. As many of you know, Dominica will be applying to the Green Climate Fund to access grant monies for the Dominica Kalinago Territory Climate Resilience Project, which seeks to build and enhance the capacity of vulnerable persons here on the island and to manage existing risks and future uncertainties linked to climate change. Unfortunately, climate change now threatens the way of life of the Kalinago, which is ironic, since the Kalinago century-old society, practices and habits have always respected the environment and are in balance with Caribbean ecosystems.
That's for sure. So, Luis, one of the things you haven't done is to actually tell the audience what your position is at the UNDP. I mean, what role are you playing? Are you just one of the guys answering the phones, or are you like the heavy, honcho, the big honcho, or what is your role at UNDP in Dominica?
Mr. Hill, I'm just a humble international civil servant, but yes, I am the head of the office of UNDP here in Dominica. Okay. An office that manages a pretty fair large number of projects, development projects in support of the island, of course.
Excellent. And how long have you been in the country, Luis?
It's already almost 3 years.
Wow,
Mr.
excellent! You've been here a while.
3 wonderful years, Mr. Hill.
And you have enjoyed being in the country. You have enjoyed being here as a place to live and to work and to see progress.
Absolutely, Mr. Hill. And one of the things that really has made this journey even more exciting has been to find the diversity, right, that exists in terms of culture, in terms of traditions, in terms of foods, in terms of environment, of the nature that this island offers. So, I mean, it's really an amazing experience to be spending this 3 years, which in Dominica, which I'm also blessed to be spending with my family, who are also enjoying, the wonders of Dominica.
Excellent. This is a beautiful country, and I'm glad you mentioned the fact that the Kalinago people have always lived in harmony with nature, and our footprint is very small. We have great reverence for the Great Spirit and all of the natural wonders that He has created. But the minister wanted to ask you something more specific, though, about the projects.
I just want to say,
absolutely.
I just want to say, Faiz, that when we met, I think sometime last year, very early last year, when I just came into office, I was really excited on the prospects for your work in Kalinago, because I found out from you that, and to tell you this in public, that you did some work with the indigenous people in Peru. And so you came on board with sort of a working knowledge of this sort of struggles and plight of indigenous peoples. So I was very, very excited to meet you and to share ideas. And when we sort of had the Engender project inculcated into the working plan of the government, I was excited to see how it would roll out, really. And so the fruits of that initial discussion, I think, is we see it now in terms of the consultation. And I think I really want you to share with this in public how the consultation has been going on within the Kalinago space. And I suspect, Francisco, that it may be a model that we want to do across the country in terms of how do local people on the ground, the grassroots people, participate in their development processes.
Thank you very much, Minister. Yes, I mean, as you have mentioned yourself, I have worked many years in South America, and one of the big challenges we have there is to find the spaces in which indigenous people can come and contribute to the development processes, and more importantly, where the modern part of South America recognizes and sees the added value that indigenous knowledge, local knowledge, the local relationship with the earth, I mean, they need to take this into account, because otherwise we are destined, to fail. So there's been a lot of experiences in South America, which we think, can contribute and learn from the processes here in Dominica. On the offer of complementary funding, Minister and Mr. Hill, the offer of complementary funding is directly aligned with Dominica's vision of becoming climate resilient. We all see with a lot of excitement and that Dominica's commitment to become the first climate resilient country in the world. So the offer of complementary funding will aim to diversify the economy to enable to withstand impacts, social protection and poverty reduction, environmental management, cultural preservation, and then overall sustained growth that is inclusive, ensuring no one is left behind. So to assist with achieving these goals, the offer of complementary funding supported an assessment of the current and projected impacts of climate change on the livelihoods of the Kalinago people. This, we hope, will help inform the priority needs of the Kalinago and provide guidance on how these needs can be best met and provide access to funding to support these needs. These interventions, furthermore, Minister, we expect will contribute to the overall sustainable development priorities of the government of Dominica by supporting progress with achieving 12 of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which basically are goal number 1, which seeks to eradicate poverty, goal 5, which speaks to gender equality, goal 13, which implores nation states to take urgent action to combat climate change and its impact. Overall, Minister, the process was extremely participative. We had 5 days of working with the community. There was a lot of interaction. There was a lot of participation. You yourself were there in several locations as well, and we are very blessed to have counted with your support and that of, the members of the Kalinago community, as well as the members of the Kalinago Council and the chief as well.
So one of the things that I would like you to do is to sort of personalize this program, this initiative that UNDP is working on. So, for instance, if there are Kalinago people listening tonight, and they ask the question, how is this going to affect me? What is this going to do for me personally? How is it going to change my life? How is it going to impact my quality of life? Is it going to create a job for me? Is it going to create a housing opportunity? Is it going to help me better my agricultural practices? Like, how does this program directly impact people's lives? Can you tell us something about that?
Yes, Mr. Hill, the program is just the first step towards something bigger. And what we are aiming is to provide spaces where we can capture the voices, right, or open a space so that the voices of the Kalinago, right, can inform public policy, correct? And once it informs public policy, we would be able to have the correct mechanisms to look for, to apply for green climate funds.
Okay,
no?
okay.
So if you think of it, this offer of complementary funding, what it does is it bridges, a space in which we inform better, right, of what are some of those priorities that can actually help support the overall objective, which is developing the Kalinago territory and making it a lot more resilient.
Right. So it is critical then that the people in the community actually participate and that their voices are heard and that they contribute in terms of their ideas and their thoughts and their own ambitions and their own dreams and aspirations.
Absolutely, Mr. Hill. I think the days where policy making was made, for example, in the minds of 3 or 4 people are over, right? Authentic development process required to have, an ear to the ground and at the same time be able, to engage all the community so that they themselves can become the masters, in terms of where do we want to progress, how do we want to develop. And successful development processes can only be successful if we manage, to broker those spaces, hear, what the problem is, right, and then support the community to work towards those problems. Just a small parenthesis, a few years ago, I had the opportunity to meet a TED speaker who had been working on community development for many years in several parts of Africa, of Latin America, and of Asia. And he had a conclusion in terms of what was the best way to support a community. And his advice was, shut up and listen, which places the emphasis on the listen, right?
Yes.
And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to promote mechanisms so that we can listen and understand, right, and support, that policy making is informed by the voices of the people who live these challenges.
Excellent.
Yes, Faiz, and I totally agree with this because I came through the four of those consultations, one for the people of Dominica, Cruz River, Sensi, and then Mao River last evening, and I found out that there were common threads in the consultation, the sort of aspirations of our people. There were some common threads like economic development, etc. But also, what was interesting for me as a PAL rep and as a minister is the fact that even within the Kalinago space, each hamlet has some unique opportunities. And so the conversation in Baraka as to how it develops is quite different from Cruz River. And as we go along, we see it's going to be different. But it was interesting that we had a cross section of people. And also say to this in public that we have a lot of talent, a lot of resources within the Kalinago space. We had past counselors, teachers, the youth, farmers. All of those folks came on board and they participated wholesomely in the conversation. And like you said, Francisco, we were sort of just listening. And they were the ones doing the talking and expressing their aspirations and their ambitions. So it's exciting times. I think we can only get better with that work. And to say to the participants a big shout out, because I realize that they may have wanted to be in another place, but they chose to be in these consultations. They do have families, they do have responsibilities. But it took the time out of the busy schedules to join the conversation. And I think at the Kalinago space will be better for it. So definitely, I'm faiz that the people's voices are being heard, and for some of those voices and those people who have not been at these consultations, we still have some time that their voices can be added to that narrative. So I really, really want to thank the UNDP for coordinating that on behalf of the Ministry of Kalinago Upliftment and the Kalinago people in general, and to say that there was some deep support from the Kalinago Council, Lorenzo Sanford and his team, and to say that I think there's much we can do, and there's much hope for the continued development of the Kalinago people.
So one of the things that I just wanted to ask is, now that you have done the consultations, and once the consultations are over, what is the next step? What is the timeline to actually applying to the Green Climate Fund? And what is the length of that process? Could you just go through some of that scheduling, that timeline?
Yes, Mr. Hill. What follows immediately is we are working, on putting a document that basically captures, what the priorities, challenges, visions, emerged from the series of conversations. We will draft a report on this, and based on that report, we will further act and coordinate with government when the application for the Green Climate Funds open. I cannot give you a specific timeline right now, Mr. Hill, but we will be coming back to the community and informing, the community, and of course working with government who's leading this process, in terms of moving forward. But I do want to take advantage, perhaps, Mr. Hill, of providing some complementary information as well.
Please do.
This work on the offer of complementary funding is also building upon several other projects that UNDP is working together with the Kalinago community and the Kalinago Council in the Kalinago territory. And among these, we have the Strengthening Sustainable Livelihoods and Resilience Project, which is basically targeting 4 key areas: agriculture, forestry, tourism, and institutional strengthening of the Kalinago Council. I'm sure many of your listeners must have participated in a few instances of community reforestation programs. Okay, so that's on the one hand. Then we're also working with the Strengthening Disaster Management Capacity of Women in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and the Commonwealth of Dominica project, where we are scaling up resilience of small farmers and female farmer groups by enhancing risk-informed decision-making and community support. No? And in addition to this, Mr. Hill, we also support through COVID-19 emergency response by partnering with government in the production of economic and human development impact assessments, which we do in collaboration with UNICEF and UN Women. No? And I must say that we hope, Mr. Hill, that in this year we may consolidate many of these projects, but in addition, try to open additional assistance that can tackle and address some of the challenges, development challenges that the Kalinago territory is facing, and that complement the strong support that we see from government towards the Kalinago territory, Mr. Hill.
Excellent. Well, that is one thing that we are very clear on, is that without the support and leadership of the government, clearly UNDP and many of the other initiatives that are currently happening in the territory wouldn't be happening. So we have to give a lot of kudos to our parliamentary representative, my brother Shibutu, and the Labour Party government, the Prime Minister, and all of those in government who are supporting the territory as much as they are. And we are seeing firsthand the improvement, the work, the jobs. I mean, right now the territory is buzzing. It's buzzing.
And even while you kind of sounded the trumpet for the power, but I just want to also applaud the work of some serious leadership in that particular project. As a matter of fact, we have employed a Kalinago powerful young lady to be part of the project. She's the project coordinator there, Alice Toto Diarampel.
Okay.
And she's the key person there in that project itself. We have some serious work being also done by Donaldson Frederick out of the Ministry of Kalinago Upliftment, and a newcomer on board in the ministry, Austin Cyril. So Austin Cyril is the one who has been Beton Rastosi,
yes,
who has been the one coordinating the consultations.
Excellent.
And so you see, we have a lot of talent within that space. And so as the Minister of Kalinago Upliftment and the PAL rep, I want to empower those folks and to have their work be part and parcel of that progressive development. So I just want to shout them out, Nietzsche. It's good work. Yes. They're excited. Yes. They're strong. They're powerful. I think the Kalinago territory is better to have those, by having those folks being part and parcel of projects like this.
Absolutely. So Francisco, what else are you working on in the territory? I know that this is not the only project that you're working on.
Yes, Mr. Hill. No, as I mentioned before, we have the project which is called Strengthening Sustainable Livelihoods and Resilience in the Kalinago territory. No, working on 4 target areas. We also have the Strengthening Disaster Management Capacity of Women, which is focused basically on female farmers and small farmers. No, so that's basically the work we are actually supporting right now. But we are, I think we will have some positive news, Mr. Hill, in perhaps 2 or 3 more months. With a wide array of projects that might be looking at supporting biodiversity, conservation, agricultural, and of course reforestation in the coming months, Mr. Hill. But I don't want to go too fast. You don't patience, and we hope things will spill the beans.
You don't want to spill all the beans and get ahead of yourself.
I don't want to get ahead of myself. But Mr. Hill, by listening to the comments of the minister regarding government's leadership, I really wanted to share something with the audience today. Mr. Hill, I've worked with around 60 different countries.
Mm-hmm,
okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, Mr. Hill, that in my lifespan, my professional lifespan, working with governments in terms of development issues, I must say that Dominica has been one of the governments with the highest and more commitment and leadership towards advancing resilience and development processes.
Well, that says a lot.
Okay?
That says a lot.
So I really want to make a recognition, and for us, it's very it's very encouraging, to try to do as much as we can support here in Dominica because of the leadership of its government, the leadership, creativity, and proactiveness of government to move forward.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you've taken the opportunity to point that out. Clearly, in just about anywhere you live and anywhere you work in any country, if the government is not a progressive government and it's not committed to certain things, it doesn't happen, because that's just the way development and governments work. So whatever the government's priorities are, those are the things that are going to move forward at a more rapid pace. And so we're just very we're very grateful in the Kalinago territory for the emphasis that is being placed on the development of the Kalinago people. This has been a long time coming, frankly. I'm saying this, but to some extent, this is long overdue. Clearly, the Kalinago people have been left behind for a long time, and we have been getting the short end of the stick. So I think progress is being made now, and the people who are doing it should be commended. Yes, Mr. Minister?
Yes, Nietzsche, I just want to also say to Francisco, yes, we've been moving forward to push the agenda of being a dynamic Dominica, and that's one of the reasons actually I joined that team to ensure that the Kalinago voice is part of that conversation. And to say that we have some good leadership here on the island. We are progressing to be the first climate resilient country. It's hard work, it's tough work. It's not something that there's a template for. We are learning as we're going, and so the support from the UNDP is critical for us here. And also it is important that we will understand that we have opportunities, and especially with those presented through the historical narrative of the Kalinago people. By our very essence of being Kalinago, we are resilient. And so being part and parcel of the government is important for us, because the voice that we project is one that will help the movement towards that resilient country. And so if we discount that voice, we may well not accomplish that goal. And so like Nietzsche said, it's work that we should have done for some time, but it's something that's happening right now, and I'm excited that we're doing it. And we're excited to have partners like you and UNDP who have a deep appreciation for our heritage to come aboard and assist selflessly in ensuring that our voice is part of that progressive movement.
So, all right, Francisco, let's just give you one more opportunity to just say a few final words, some closing remarks that will leave our audience pleased and happy that you have participated tonight.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Hill. I also, want to thank the great efforts Minister Cruz is doing, and the leadership of the Ministry of Environment and Kalinago Upliftment. And it's a pleasure to work also with the Minister with lots of ideas and a very special energy to push things. So we're very happy on this partnership. On the voices of the Kalinago, Mr. Hill, this reminds me, we will soon be organizing together with the Minister a series of 4 conferences, which hopefully we can do a partnership with DBS, and DBS can also transmit. But the idea, is to have a conversation, on what are the traditions of the Kalinago, what are the Kalinago roots, where are the Kalinago heading, what is the tremendous contribution of the Kalinago to making Dominica what Dominica is today, and so forth. So we think it'll be a very strong, a very good conversation and a much needed conversation, in terms of sort of asking ourselves our questions and seeing ourselves in the mirror, and understanding the importance of the Kalinago, towards Dominica's future, and that Dominica's future is we can expect excellent things because it grows on its diversity. It
Yes.
embraces its diversity, and diversity is what manages to take us to the next frontier.
Absolutely. Now, the one thing, Francisco, that you didn't mention is I know that the minister initiated this writing. This writing with Kalinago history in terms of a book, children's book, and I think we have actually, or you have actually contracted someone to write the Kalinago story. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, Mr. Hill. The idea is that out of these conferences, we want to get some concrete messages. These conferences we're ideating for one, among the leaders, elders of Kalinago. The women of Kalinago would be a second one. The youth of Kalinago would be a third one. And then academics, of the Kalinago. And the idea is that we will be guided by a series of questions that will result in the production also of a booklet, that tells the story of the Kalinago. But not so much looking to the past, but looking to the future.
To the future, absolutely.
And showcasing the potential, of the contribution of the Kalinago, not only to Dominica, but to the world. Okay?
Excellent.
And this book, what we expect is that this book will be a book for kids, and we will publish it, and we will handle one for every single student in Dominica.
Excellent. It'll be a good addition to the curriculum.
It would be fantastic. I think it's so important to understand who we are, right? And by understanding who we are, we grow stronger. And who we are, right, is a history of Kalinago, it's a history of Dominica, where the Kalinago play a tremendous and fun and foundational role.
Absolutely.
So we need to work towards that. The future is that. The future is how do we embrace our diversity? How do we embrace our roots and we take them forward? And yes, I think let's stop focusing. Sometimes the past is important, but let's build on our past to build a better future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for just having an absolutely powerful voice on Kalinago Voices this evening and sharing a wealth of information. I certainly hope that our people have been listening, paying close attention to the programs that are happening in the community, and I hope that this will actually motivate more people to participate and to be part of the progress as we move forward to build a much better future for our people. So thank you, Francisco. We have absolutely enjoyed having this conversation with you. We look forward to many more conversations in the future.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hill. Thank you very much, the minister, and blessing to all of our colleagues in the Kalinago territory and in Dominica. Thank you very much. Good night.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Have a pleasant evening.
And so, listeners, just to sort of wrap up the narrative by Francisco, we do have the work in progress for the publication of a booklet, and that will lean heavily on the local knowledge. And so in the next few weeks, I will be conducting personally a number of webinars across the Kalinago space to ensure that the relevant voices are heard in that narrative. And so we have contracted a writer in the name of Gregory Rabes, who is a washla, a cultural icon, a musician, and who has a deep understanding and appreciation of the Kalinago heritage.
A great storyteller.
And that's right. And just to say that we just this week and each year, I just want to wrap up my week with which we started off earlier on, that in collaboration with the UNDP, the Ministry of Kalinago Upliftment have been able to donate to the Kalinago Council a drone, Phantom 2 drone, which today we had training for that particular piece of equipment to ensure that the Carnago Council can map out the lands and
Nice.
how to treat with land disputes, etc.
Nice.
So apart from the conversation and the consultations, we are already seeing tangible things happening out of that project to ensure that we empower the Carnago community with the relevant technology and tools to ensure that we can continue the work that was sort of troublesome for our predecessors, making some of the work easier for us. So I just wanted to say that.
Nice.